Hello, children. I'm going to start a chapter that is Fundamental Unit of Life of class 9th. In this, we are going to discuss about what is actually the fundamental unit of life. What do you mean by fundamental unit of life? It's basically we have seen that a building is made by many bricks and how a building is formed. With the help of many bricks, a big building is established. Similarly, our body creates or get created by many building blocks which we call as cells. Now what are cells? Cells are actually the fundamental unit of life, which we call as structural and functional unit. Okay, so we are going to study about cell. Okay, so now what is a cell? A cell is a functional and structural unit of life. Functional and structural unit of life. Why do we call it as functional unit of life? Functional means all the body's functions are controlled by a tiny cell. Whereas if we talk about structural means our body is made up of many cells. That is why we call it a functional and structural unit of life. Secondly, if you see this diagram, what is this? This is a kind of a structure which was very firstly observed by the discoverer of cell. Who was the discoverer of the cell? The cell was discovered by Robert Hooke. Robert Hooke. Okay, so how he observed? He observed in a bark of a tree. He observed in a bark of a tree. And what he observed? He observed tiny compartments. A kind of a tiny compartments or rooms. Tiny compartments or rooms, which he called, or say in Latin it is called as cellula or cell, and by that only the name cell was kept. Okay, so who is the discoverer of a cell? That is Robert Hooke. He saw in the bark of a tree small tiny compartments and he named as cell. Okay, on the basis of this, there was a cell theory given by the two scientists. What were those two scientists? Those two scientists were Schleiden and Schwann. Schleiden and Schwann gave a theory that was a cell theory, and it was given in 1939. It was given in 1939. Now, what does this theory predicts or tells about? It tells about that each body, there are basically three theories. There are three theories. So, what are the three theories? The three theories states that every body is made up of every body is made up of cells and their products. That is the first theory. Second theory is cell is a fundamental or functional unit of life. This is the second theory. And the third theory is every cell is formed from the pre-existing cells. That's it. So these are the three theories given by Sheldon and Schwann in 1939, and it is the basis, or say the basic concept behind a cell. And what does cell theory implies? It says that everybody is made up of cells and their products. Cell is a fundamental or functional unit of life, and every cell is formed from the pre-existing cells. Okay. Lately, on the basis of the presence of cells, on the basis of the presence of cells, there are two kinds of organisms. The very first organism is unicellular organism, and what is the another one? That is multicellular organism. So unicellular and multicellular organism, what are these organisms? Particularly if we talk about unicellular organism, that it comprises of only one cell. Body is made up of only one cell, whereas the multicellular organism comprises of more than one cell, and thus you call them unicellular, multicellular, etc. Okay, a very good example of unicellular are amoeba, paramecium, etc. If we talk about multicellular organisms, very good examples are plant, animal, etc. So, a very good characteristics of multicellular organism is division of labor. What do you mean by division of labor? Division of labor means the work of many cells are distributed in different functions, so that every cell or a group of cell called tissue performs a specific function, which is a characteristic feature of a multicellular organism. And this characteristic is not present in a unicellular organism because it is made up of only one cell, so there cannot be any division of labor. Secondly, on the basis of type of cell, the type of cell, there are two types of cells. That is, first, prokaryotic cell, and the second, eukaryotic cell. Okay, so what are prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells? If I say prokaryotic cell, then it is what? It is a primitive cell. Remember, all of you, that is a primitive cell, means present at a very starting or at a very beginning when the life came in existence on earth. Whereas eukaryotic cell, it is a modern cell. Which modern cell which came in existence after the period of evolution. Second, prokaryotic cells do not have membrane bound nucleus. They are not having a well defined nucleus, whereas in eukaryotic cell having membrane bound nucleus. Remember. Next, if I talk about prokaryotic cell do not have membrane bound cell organelles, whereas over here membrane bound cell organelles present. What do you mean by cell organelles? Cell organelles are the different cellular structures present inside the cell which perform or who performs different kinds of functions for the body. Next, prokaryotic cell are having ribosomes which are 70S, whereas eukaryotic cell have ribosomes 80S. Always remember, a very good example of eukaryotic cell is animal cell and plant cell. Whereas if I say here, example, bacteria or bacterial cell. So these are the particular difference between prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell. Lately, we will now discuss about the different types of eukaryotic cell, and we already discussed that there are two kinds of cells, that is plant cell and animal cell. So let's see and move further. This is a kind of a plant cell, and why do we consider it as a plant cell? I'll let you know further. This is a plant cell and this is an animal cell. Okay, fine. If you all can see, a particular characteristic feature of both of them is that a plant cell is larger in size, whereas animal cell is smaller in size. That is a particular difference between plant cell and animal cell. And you can see various structures present inside the cell. They have got also different kinds of significant functions. Let's see what are those. Now, if I say plant cell, then there is something at the center. What is this? That is a vacuole. A vacuole. And particularly its name is this vacuole. If you can see here, it is larger in size as compared to animal cell. These are also vacuoles. These are also vacuole. This is also vacuole. And this is also vacuole, whereas this one is also a vacuole but larger in size, and its name is commonly called as tonoplast. It's known as tonoplast. Secondly, what is the function of tonoplast or vacuole? Vacuole's function is that it stores food, water, etc. If we talk about plant cell, it comprises of 90% of water in it, all because of a large vacuole present in its cell. Remember. Secondly, if I say these structures, they are green in color. What are these? These are particularly chloroplast. Now, if you see here, there are no green structures are made here. That means that chloroplast is not present in animal cell. What is the reason behind? A major reason behind is that chloroplast is what? It is a kitchen of the cell. Kitchen of the cell. What do you mean by kitchen of the cell or plant cell? That it helps in what? It helps in photosynthesis. It helps in photosynthesis. Basically, what is photosynthesis? A particular process for the formation of food or formation of glucose to get energy. Always remember, it is the main site of formation of glucose. Photosynthesis by using carbon dioxide and water through leaves, and leaves comprise of maximum chloroplast. I'm showing it in green color. Why? Because it comprises of a green pigment. That is what? That is chlorophyll. Chlorophyll. What is chlorophyll? Chlorophyll is the green pigment. Okay. Lately, if you see another structure here, what is this? This is the major brain of the cell. This is what? This is nucleus. That is nucleus. So what is the nucleus? It is the major brain of the cell. If we see other parts of a nucleus, then we can see one gap here. All the gaps are here. This gap is called as what? That is called as nucleopore. And secondly, this structure is called as nuclear membrane. This is nuclear membrane. Whereas inside the nucleus, what is present? That is nucleolus. And inside the nucleus there is a fluid filled. What is that? That is nucleoplasm. Now it's interesting to know, all of you, that in biology I always tell that the word itself depicts its meaning. For example, nucleoplasm is what? Nucleo means nucleus, plasm means the fluid present inside the nucleus. Secondly, what is this? This is the chromatin material, which comprise of basically what? Chromatin material basically comprise of DNA. And what is DNA? DNA is the genetic material because of which heredity takes place. Heredity means the transmission of genes from the parents to the offsprings, which lately you all will study in your class 10th. Later, let's see what is the another structure. Another structure is what is the function of nucleus. Now you all must have got actually that what is its main function. Its main function is carry the genetic material which helps in heredity. Secondly, what is the structure? The structure is mitochondria. This is mitochondria. And what is a mitochondria? A very famous structure it is. Why? Because it is commonly known as powerhouse of the cell. It is called as powerhouse of the cell. Why do you call it powerhouse of the cell? Because they produce ATPs. And thus they are called as powerhouse of the cell. ATPs. What is the form of ATP? Adenosine triphosphate, and they are the energy currency. Why do you call them energy currency? Because they are the bundles or particles which help in the transmission of energy inside our body. Or particularly we say mitochondria's function is cellular respiration. What do you mean by cellular respiration? Cellular respiration means helps in respiration. Respiration means breaking down of food to get energy. And lately, children, what are these structures? These structures are this structure is Golgi complex. Now, what is Golgi complex? Its basic function is that it helps in secretion, packaging, and storage. Whatever is made inside the cell, it is formed inside the whatever is formed inside the cell is stored, packaged, and transported throughout the cell with the help of Golgi complex. All of you remember. So its basic function is secretion, packaging, and storage of all the materials present inside the cell. Up next comes these structures. What are these structures? This structure, if I say this one is what? Endoplasmic reticulum. Now, there are two kinds of endoplasmic reticulum. If you see this one and if you see this one, both are endoplasmic reticulum, but there is one difference on their structure. There is something on their surface which is not present here, and thus this one is called as smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Smooth, why? Because it's not having something on its surface. And what is that something on their surface? That is ribosomes. And those who are having this on their surface are called as what? You call them RER. What is RER? Rough endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, so this is the basic function. So these are the two kinds of endoplasmic reticulum, RER, SER. Now what is their function? Basically, RER helps in the formation of proteins. Why does it help in the formation of proteins? We'll discuss later. Endoplasmic reticulum helps in the formation of lipids, metabolism of carbohydrates, storage of calcium ion, many more. So these all are the functions of plant cell organelles of plant cell. Secondly, if there are few more cell organelles if we discuss, so can you see this blue one? This is lysosome, and lysosomes are very commonly known as suicidal bags. Why are they called as suicidal bags? They are called as suicidal bags because they help in the formation, or say they help in the breaking down. Of complex substances into smaller ones. They also engulf waste materials of the cell, and they also engulf dead cells, and whenever there is a damage in the cell, it digests its own cell and bursts, and thus they are called as suicidal bags. What is the reason behind they can burst themselves? The reason behind is that they are having hydrolytic enzymes in them. These hydrolytic enzymes help the lysosomes to burst themselves.